Holy whoa. Where everybody at, man? Oh. Let's go. We're gonna wait. Oh, Devon. Nice of you to join us. Heyo. So, this is the end of my 3-week protocol, dosing the Amanita, muscaria, and the pamphorina. And we'll probably have Jesus hop on here if he can make it. He'll tell you all about his experience with a major macrodose. I have just been microdosing, so you'll get both ends of the spectrum if he's able to hop on here. So, how did it feel with those bodies? The connector between the astral bodies, the dream bodies, the emotional. Yeah, so I went through some what it seems like a long passage through my own blockages with my own body, my own suppression of like my own emotions, and also just vivid dreams, just extremely vivid dreams. Nothing too complex, nothing too, super insightful, but very, very vivid. So what I was doing was basically taking this twice a day, as well as the gummies. And these are from Minnesota Nice Botanicals. So if you're interested in taking these, I would definitely hit them up. They also have a bunch of different herbs, like blue lotus, kava, an African dream herb, and all of those I also experimented with as well. And they were amazing. But this is solely on the Amanita. And taking this 3 to 2 times a day, amounting to about maybe like 1 to 2 grams of actual Amanita every single day. What it did for me was it basically made me very, very calm. This is not your traditional psychedelic mushroom. In fact, it's not a psychedelic, it's a dissociative. But people are under the impression a lot of the time. 1 second, y'all. Let me silence this real quick. But yeah, a lot of people, when they saw I was microdosing this and taking Amanita, they were under the impression that I was tripping. This is nowhere close to the typical serotonergic psychedelic mushroom trip, or even microdosing. It was way, way calmer. I felt completely sober, almost, except for the fact that the mushroom was working very much in the background of everything. So when I had initially started taking it, I was under the impression as well, just like everybody else, that it would be similar or very, very much like prominent, that I could tell what the effects were happening. But I slowly realized this is something that is very much in the background. Because as you know, basically it's a GABAergic. So just like Xanax, just like alcohol, all that stuff is kind of in the background if you take very small doses. So with the Amanita, what I found is that I was more productive, and I was also able to a lot of the things that I had sitting in the background of my mind, I was like, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like initiating these projects. The mushroom spirit of the Amanita would put me into action. It would make it so that it wasn't so hard to actually initiate those things. It just turned into a lot of doing and being. So Amanita muscaria is that, that red and white mushroom. So it's very, very ancient. Definitely some crazy history from there. You can get a lot of the history from Black Sage Botanical. She actually has a lot of posts on it, as well as a class. And I'll tag her real quick, just so y'all know where to go. But so all this that I experienced was basically me no longer being held back by myself through this mushroom. So I found myself just doing and being rather than holding back. And I found also when it came to going to sleep, when it came to time to go to sleep, I found actually that it brought up emotions that I was holding back, that was preventing me from getting restful sleep, and had always been preventing me from getting restful sleep. So I ended up, one of the first times of me trying it as a macrodose, like a small macrodose, probably about like 3 to 4 grams of actual Amanita, it made me cry, basically. So I had a lot of dormant emotions within my own body that needed to come up and be expressed and to their fullest. So I cried like a baby, beautifully. And the thing was, it just let me take the back seat. It let me take the back seat to experience the emotions, but from a distance. So it was as if my body was just a vessel to transmute and circulate this dormant blockage, this blockage of energy within my own body. And that, just like my day-to-day life of doing things, it's the same concept, just a different dynamic. You know how day and night go. They're completely different worlds sometimes. So that's what it did for me, majorly. After crying like a baby, basically what happened was I had very vivid dreams. The dreams, of course, I could remember when a little bit more when I had woken up, more so than before, because it's a cholinergic, and what cholinergics do is they activate the electrical potentials between your synapses, and basically it allows your brain to remember things. It allows the memory to be at full capacity. So, but if I had written them down, then I would be able to tell you. But let's just say that they were very, very vivid. So you just joined. This is Amanita muscaria. This is that red and white mushroom that you see in like psychedelic posters and shit. Like, yeah. So basically, this mushroom wasn't exactly what I was thinking it was going to be, but it still gave me a lot of cutting off of cravings and addictions that I didn't want to be associated with anymore. So I utilized it to get myself off of cannabis. I would take this instead of cannabis, and a lot of people do cannabis for helping with sleep. So this was a way out for those people, because a lot of times if you ingest cannabis too, at night, it prevents you from sleeping. Yeah, I take golden teacher mushrooms. I've microdosed psilocybin mushrooms for about 2 years now. So when I came into this thinking like, oh, okay, this is going to be like somewhat psychedelic, or even, but it's very subtle. You feel like you're sober while you're on this. But if you take a macrodose, just like Jesus did, then you go through what seems like something that's even stronger than experience with ayahuasca. Frame vision, definitely a lot of distorted frame vision, very much like an ego death, big dissociation about like where your consciousness is and what you're experiencing in your physical environment. That completely gets distorted. And then you end up basically contacting entities and having basically a whole vision quest, right? So that's what happens when you macro. So what I did, at least for to keep myself productive, was there's 2 different types of extracts that they have. So this is the partial decarb, and you can see it's like a little bit yellow, right? And the partial decarb has ibotenic acid in it. So the ibotenic acid actually creates stimulations in your brain. So it basically helps you with having that energy. It also works on the glutamate system to bring back your regular serotonin and dopamine levels, so that, you know, a lot of us that come onto social media, naturally it's designed to release dopamine from all the stimulation, because our bodies are under the influence, our brains are under the influence that is happening in real time. So all those beautiful colors, beautiful scenic visuals that you get on here, that they put out to you, release dopamine, and that's what fuels you to keep scrolling. So it took me into that realm of, I no longer have any type of association with it, no dependency on it, no like appeal to it. And it does that for cannabis, it does that for any type of addiction, porn, opiates, like really anything that releases that dopamine spike and makes you dependent on it. So that's what I ended up doing, is using that ibotenic acid, because I had abused MDMA back in my youth, and that messes with your dopamine levels for the long term, as well as your serotonin. So with all the MDMA and also research chemicals that I did in my youth, I realized, well, I'm not experiencing the level of happiness that I want to be at, that I once had when I was in my youth. So I want that back. And this has brought it back by a lot. I'm not going to say it's perfect, because at the end of the day, in our youth, we had less trauma as well. And as adults, we grow to have more and more trauma pile on, and then we have to process it in order to get that back. But for what it actually did, like mechanically, I can feel that I feel more joy in life. I can feel that I feel more calm and completely cut off from any type of urges to have any addictions. So it puts you back in your control center, back at ground zero almost, to be able to determine where you want to go with how you go about your daily life, and how you deal with addiction. I have no nerve or chronic pain at all. I'm a relatively healthy individual compared to, well, 50% to 60% of the world, right? Because 50% of the world is probably chronically ill at this point. But the amount of testimonials that this has, and also the amount of people that it has helped, a lot of them, yes, do suffer from chronic pain, do suffer from nerve damage, and this has brought them back. A lot of people suffer from Lyme disease. This cures Lyme disease. And I'm 100% on that. But really, there's no scientific data, right? All of this is anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence from people who have testimonied themselves, researched themselves, groups of people who are willing to go through experimentation and study for a decade, a few years, a few months, in order to report back, in order for us to have that evidence. Because as you know, basically science will only take on so much. They will not take on a lot of unorthodox, abstract stuff, even stuff that hasn't had findings before. It's laughed at 100%. So for us to figure out what value this has, we have to look to other people. We have to look to community. We have to look to our network, and also online, because we're in the age of information. So this has helped me significantly, but I do not have a lot of the conditions that it actually helps with. I used to suffer from depression. I used to suffer from addiction. Now we're here. So, and then as far as the partial decarb gives you energy, right? So this is something you take during the day. But this is the full decarb. So the full decarb makes you drowsy, sleepy, dreamy. So it's perfect for dream time. It's also an anti-anxiety, but so is this. This is also anti-anxiety. It just gives you energy. This is anti-anxiety but it just puts you to sleep. It'll make you drowsy. So you take enough of this and you will be asleep 100%. Just like if you drink sleepy time tea. So, and honestly, I didn't experience a lot of visual effects. Everything, yeah, very, very, very subtle. So you don't come to Amanita, and Amanita Dreamer also talks about this, and I'll also tag her as well. But Amanita Dreamer also talks about this, is that if you are looking for a trip or anything of that nature, stay with the psilocybin mushrooms. Because at the end of the day, Amanita is not here to give you a trip for you to have that awe, that basically mind fuck, any of that. Like, you're not going to get any of that from this mushroom unless you take a giant macrodose. So, if you are just looking for something that helps you with anxiety, also brings back your brain chemical levels, yeah, it probably does feel like ashwagandha. I've taken ashwagandha before. Some people have 50-50 on ashwagandha, but at the end of the day, yes, it is something similar to what an adaptogen feels like. So, that is my biggest report on it. And, yeah. So, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to drop them, and I'll happily answer them. And I definitely recommend going to Amanita Dreamer's page, look at her blog, and you can actually figure out basically what this is all about, like in full detail. So did it really restore your brain chemicals? Yeah, because I can still, well, basically, I have no cravings at all, like not for anything involving dopamine. Food, yes, but like that's just a natural thing, right? That's just your brain chemicals telling you like, hey, like go eat something. Oh, you have anhedonia. Yeah, I understand that. So yeah, it does bring back a lot of those brain chemicals associated with experiencing apathy. You feel more yourself 100%. And yeah, it helps with addiction to weed. Basically what I noticed is that I still had cravings up until the 3rd or 4th day, and then after that it kind of just faded off. Do I know a good source close to Sweden and Europe? I can post that on my story and we can figure out who has it locally. Otherwise, you can still get it from Minnesota Nice Botanicals. But basically, you have to pay like extra on shipping, which, you know, I understand, but also this is really quality products. Like, they definitely put their heart and soul into it. Like, they're really, really conscious about what they're giving out, what they're distributing to people, and they've also taken it themselves. It's also changed their lives. So, and how much do you take of each, and how did you use the powder? Okay, so basically what I did is I would unscrew the cap, and you can see it's sealed right here. So basically I take the seal off right here, right? And all I would do, I wouldn't even measure it. Because at the end of the day, all I needed was about 300 to 500 milligrams, and this is 5 grams. So I already knew, okay, well, this compared to this is probably about 500 milligrams. So what I did was I just poured it out, filled the cap about halfway, and then downed it under my tongue. And that was my dose for the day, for the morning, actually. If there were occasions where I felt like, you know, I wanted more, then I would take the gummies. So I'd take these gummies, or the Pamphrena, because the Pamphrena is stronger, but has less ibotenic acid in it. And the dosage protocol, there's 2 dosage protocols. There's one from Amanita Dreamer, where basically, she has you basically taking it 3 to 4 times a day. 3 to 4 times a week, basically. So for 4 days straight, and then maybe 1 or 2 days off, and then you extend that. So next week, it's still 4 days, 3 days, the 3 days off, and it's just this cycle. But basically what I did was, and I learned this from, I can't remember her name right now. But if you look up Baba, Baba, Amanita on YouTube, she's the one that did a lot of the group studies and found a group consensus basically on what the protocol should be. And so what everybody found to be the most beneficial for them is 3 weeks. So you do this for 3 weeks on every single day, unless you feel called out of it to not do it every single day. There was a point where I felt like, oh, okay, I've had enough. I've had my fill and my taste. And honestly, I feel like I only need to take it as needed at this point, because my cravings are gone. And also I'm able to sleep pretty well. So unless I have problems sleeping, then I don't really need to take it. If I'm having anxiety, then you can also take it for that as well. So that's what I did, is basically I took this in the morning, 500 milligrams, and then I would take the gummies in the evening, and it would be about either 500 milligrams to a gram, basically. And then from there, just repeat for 3 weeks straight. So this is the end. Yesterday was my end day, and I didn't actually end up even taking it because I didn't feel like I needed it. And they'll even advise you take it as needed after you feel like you've gotten to that point. And that's kind of where that idea of like, okay, well, I've gotten all that I needed, but you ever want to revisit it, you absolutely can. Is it like ibogaine for weed addiction? Yes, because ibogaine, what that does is it also resets your brain chemicals, but you have to go through this long 36-hour ayahuasca-like trip. It's very difficult, harsh, lots of vomiting, lots of feeling sick. I'm completely bedridden. But at the end of it, you have a complete reset of your brain chemical levels. So no addictions are present to opiates, cannabis, anything of that nature. You're looking for a reliable source in Canada. Yeah, everybody, I can really just tell you that, well, Minnesota Nice Botanicals is shipping all over the world. So there's no real limit to it. So I recommend getting their products because they have, well, basically the best extract. I don't see anybody making any type of extracts for Amanita like this. Partial decarb or full decarb. So that's what I recommend, honestly. I take it every day. Do you know of any issues with that? I'd also be interested to hear about Buddy's macrodose experience. So as far as taking it every day, there's something that Amanita Dreamer has brought up before, which is basically the Amanita anger, which is basically it's a reaction when your body is getting too much of the Amanita on a daily basis. And just like all things in life, you have to do it in moderation. And in moderation, even with a microdose, you have days off. So if you're taking this, you can get angry because you're there's some reaction in your brain. We don't know to the fullest of what this is doing to our brain chemicals, right? Because we don't have all the scientific studies and research to look over. So because of that, we just have the anecdotal evidence that some people, if taking it consistently every single day, will actually end up getting angry. So that at that point, then what you want to do is you want to take a 1 to 2 day break, and then you can hop back right on. But everything in moderation is what I got from that. Does anybody have any more questions while we wait for Jesus? But yeah, I definitely feel completely on a different level. Initiating projects a lot easier. I've just been on my grind. I haven't taken any breaks really. So that's been the nice part, is it keeps you productive, it keeps you going. And I also noticed things don't bother me as much, especially while I'm on it. Because what it does is it takes away a lot of that overstimulation. GABA is responsible for helping your body to not be overstimulated, overexcited. In our world, we have a lot of stimulus from our phones, from technology, all around. We live in a very, very stimulated world, and people use alcohol, right, or they use pills in order to bring down or turn down the noise. Because it's really hard to deal with, especially the things within our own minds that we have a difficult time processing. So that is what it has done, for sure. Is it gives you kind of like that pathway of being able to chill out, turn down the noise without killing your brain cells, right? Loading yourself with heavy metals or toxins. And this has not only just muscimol and ibotenic acid. This is a full mushroom. This is a full complex that has about 120 different compounds in it to actually assist you with your health. So that's why it also helps with Lyme disease. It's not the psychoactives that are helping with the Lyme disease. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the sacred, amazing 120 something different compounds that we know of that are within the Amanita muscaria. And yeah, if you do find yourself getting angry, definitely take a break. Because that's just your body also telling you, like, just chill out. Just chill out, and at the end of the day, this isn't going anywhere, right? The benefits aren't going anywhere. So at the end of the day, just put it on the shelf for 1 or 2 days, and then just hop back on. And yeah, 100% mushrooms are the future. The mycelial network underneath our feet is the earth brain, 100%. Not only that, but mushrooms themselves, their spores last forever, and they're in space. They can get released into space. They found spores in space, so they can survive in space. So these are transdimensional, transplanetary things that are growing on our Earth, and are likely part of like that whole grand plan of bringing us up to a world where everybody is healed, right? Has a solution, has very much less trauma, and that leads us to more advances in our consciousness and elevating ourselves out of this 3D physical reality, and really coming into a fourth dimensional reality where we're all an interconnected hive mind of full-blown telepathy, but in full awareness of it, and full awareness of everything that is being and coming in and out. So, anybody have any questions? Wow, chooses makes his way over here. If he doesn't make his way over here, I mean, at the end of the day, we can just go live later. But it'd be nice to catch him on here, because I heard he had a really amazing experience. Has definitely a whole new perspective on what unconditional love is, and is really, really incredible. And also, what I've heard from a lot of people when they do macrodose is that it changed them. So even if they didn't have the intention of like, oh, I'm going to take this macrodose to change myself for the better, that's what it ends up doing for you. And that's what a lot of things will do for you when it comes to plant medicine, so long as you clean your space and don't have like any outside forces like malevolent entities or the government voicing to your skull as if it's you, but it's not actually you, right? So like there's that aspect of it. But if you take this in the right environment, you can get some very amazing, life-changing experiences from it. So, eventually I'll macrodose, but macrodosing on my list isn't really up there. Like, what I'm about to move on to is microdosing ayahuasca after this, because now my brain chemical levels are leveled out. Now all cravings are gone. Now I just want to connect more to the earth, the multidimensional being within ourselves, through dimethyltryptamine and so much more. So that's my next on my path. And I'll also be taking Blue Lotus gummies along with it. So that'll be very exciting. Because I've been looking for some heart opening after realizing how much I dealt with in my childhood to actually close my heart. And so that is what I'm going to be also accompanying it with while I'm microdosing on ayahuasca. So, yeah, fam. So, I mean, if you guys have any questions or anything more about, like, what you want to know about my experience, before you actually start traversing into this. If I come to the Tucson Gem Show, it's going to be between the 8th and the 9th, and I'll be there until the 11th. So far, it's completely up in the air, because I never set aside funds to actually go to the Tucson Gem Show because of how much was going on in my life when I was moving. So at the end of the day, it's completely up in the air. Really, it all depends on how well the sale's gonna go. So basically, we got a 33% off sale that's being launched this week. It's gonna go until next week, and all proceeds are gonna go to basically getting the inventory for the crystals for the Monsoon Sucker Punches. So if you want to support, I'll be posting that today, and you can hop on the website, grab anything you want. If you grab the Terra Care one, that's the only thing I can't give you a discount on, so don't even try it, because I can't give you a discount on it. I wish I could. And can I do a trip report for my psychedelic voyages? Yes, but what psychedelic voyages would I be going on? Because I feel as though the microdosing doesn't really put you in a really psychedelic sphere a lot of the times. It puts you in a very subtle, like, sober-like state that gives you, like, a lot of, like, flow up here. But outside of that, no, like, really traversing or journeying or, like, really big grand message. I feel like the messages that you get are very cumulative when you take these things. And that's also why I didn't notice, but like a week into taking this, I wasn't noticing much at all, other than that time when I basically released all those dormant emotions inside my body for crying for about 2 hours, and then fell asleep after that very peacefully. So there's info out there for microdosing Amanita. And if you mean in coinciding with psilocybin, I don't think there's much information other than, what's posted online. So you'd have to go in Reddit threads. That Reddit threads have been a really good source of information. Anecdotally, from a lot of testimonials on Minnesota Nice Botanicals page, they have those as well. So you could ask them if they have any testimonials in regards to mixing the Amanita with the psilocybin. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, YouTube videos are probably the best thing as well. But I've only done microdose while on this protocol twice. And what I did notice, at least, is that there is a synergy. Basically, what the synergy is that the serotonergics, psilocybin, psychedelic mushrooms, basically what they do is they can increase anxiety based off of you having that extra stuff going on in your serotonin network. So with that extra stuff going on in your serotonin network, you end up excited, right? Your brain gets overexcited, and then that causes anxiety. So if you get like the jitters, or you get butterflies in your stomach, or your spine feels all crazy tingly, and you find it uncomfortable, you can take the Amanita muscaria and it'll bring it down. But I don't think what it does, because there's this thing with alcohol. If you take a serotonergic with alcohol, which is a GABAergic, or a benzodiazepine, they'll cancel out. But I found that there was a synergy. Whether the synergy was that I was getting euphoria from the Amanita versus the euphoria from the psilocybin mushrooms, I couldn't tell. I think they blended together very well. But whether it reduced the psychoactivity and like reduced my my visuals, I didn't notice so much. But maybe I took like really strong mushrooms. So that's up to your own experimentation to actually figure out. But yeah, I definitely noticed a synergy just because the ibotenic acid actually induces euphoria. So, and this is the one that I took the most out of everything. I actually barely touched this, the full decarb. And actually, if I took this entire thing, I would probably have an experience just like Jesus, where he he was traversing the multidimensional planes and is completely dissociated from the body. But and how much would a protocol cycle with Amanita cost? So this is just enough. Basically, if you were to take like 1 or 2 days off, this is just enough for you to be able to take it every single day. I do recommend, though, not taking the one that has ibotenic acid. Excuse me. But yeah, I do recommend, though, not taking the one that has ibotenic acid in it, which is the partial decarb, because it may keep you up. So basically what you want to do is you want to get either the gummies, the Pampharina chocolates, and the Pampharina is actually 5 times stronger than the muscaria. So that's another thing, is you grab a bar of Pampharina that's like $12 or $20. That's more than enough for you to be using it for sleep. Like way more than enough. If you were to take that a whole bar, you would be on space. You would be completely spaced out of this plane. So, and I believe this actually cost me about $50, $50 or $60. And the gummies actually, if you were to do the Pampharina, like $12 to $20 for the chocolates or the gummies. And because they're 5 times stronger, you can actually, take parts off of it rather than eating like a whole gummy or something. So yeah, so it's honestly compared to a lot of methods that people have to go through in order to get away from addictions, which is going to treatment centers, taking pharmaceuticals that may deter addictions. This is relatively cheap compared to a treatment center, compared to a treatment plan by Big Pharma. So, and it helps everybody. So it helps people with alcohol addictions, opiates, cannabis addictions, porn addiction, internet addiction, internet social media addiction. Really any addiction that you can possibly think of, this cuts the cravings off for it. If somebody is already stuck on benzos, this is what they can substitute for. So they can substitute this and they won't get the benzo withdrawals. They can substitute this and they won't get alcohol withdrawals. Same thing with opiate withdrawals. So all the withdrawing that makes you want to go back to the substance is null and void, so long as you're taking enough of the Amanita muscaria or the Pampharina. do an ethanol extraction of the shrooms and blue lotus. This way you extract the psilocin and psilocybin plus the psychoactive compounds in blue lotus. Mix it into, boiled into a resin and mix into cacao cakes. Yeah, that sounds, well, almost like ayahuasca. If any of you all know what that is. It's monoamine oxidase inhibitors. What they do is basically they take away our body's ability to break down things at a rapid rate. So it actually extends and intensifies psychedelic trips. I didn't experiment with many MAOIs while on this, so I cannot advise to it, nor did I research it. But I did do Blue Lotus, it's a mild monoamine oxidase inhibitor. But I only did it maybe like once or twice. So yeah, y'all. So this magic mushroom, everybody has their own experience with it. Sometimes people don't have any reaction to it, don't notice any effects at all. But it's universally reported, which is kind of the funny part, is you don't feel anything, right? But you take it for 3 weeks. People at the end of the 3 weeks all universally report that they feel better in some way, shape, or form. So even if you take this and you're like, no, this isn't doing anything for me, it is doing something, it's just in the background. And once you get off of the protocol, you realize, oh, this did something for me, but I wasn't realizing it while I was on it. And then there are people who are rather sensitive, who will get like a great amount of drowsiness from taking it, will get a great amount of energy and profound experiences from it. The alkaloids in both will then bind together and intercalate with the major and minor grooves of DNA. Thank you, Starfire Harmonics. That is that's definitely a pro way to be taking psilocybin with Blue Lotus. But yeah, y'all. So that's my big old Amanita experience. A lot of research that I did gave me a lot of confirmation about what I was experiencing, if I was not experiencing enough, or so on and so forth. Which is the upper and which is the downer. So the upper, that's funny. The upper is the partial decarb, and don't expect like no extreme upper like an ADHD medicine, like some Adderall. But it does give you energy. So you will feel more wakeful, right? The downer is the full decarb, and you can actually tell the color on this is completely different. This matches that red cap that it has, versus this is the orange. So, but yeah, this is the downer. This will put you to sleep. This will keep you up. That partial decarb versus the full decarb. So, yeah, it was chill. Definitely a chill experience. I'm not going to hop directly into microdosing ayahuasca after this. I'm probably going to take a few day break just to integrate and just be with my chill sober self, yo. Do I have a site to order these? So you can go on my linktree. Basically, if you go on my linktree to order these, I also have a promo code. And as you know, if you've been on the page long enough, you can probably guess what the promo code is, which is Brothers of Gaia. That's the universal promo code for a lot of the things that I refer you guys to. So, and that gets you 10% off. And then once you get your order, then you can make a testimonial, video testimonial, and send it over to Minnesota Nice Botanicals to either their email or Instagram page. And basically, they'll give you a 30% off code for your next order. And they have like some really amazing products. They keep getting more products, which is kind of crazy too. Is that the product lineup keeps cycling. They actually had Cappy, which is the ayahuasca vine, to actually be microdosing with. They have Blue Lotus gummies. That's what I'll also be taking along with my ayahuasca microdosing protocol. Wow, yeah. And yeah, they have this African dream herb. They have kava. So they're pretty loaded. Yeah, it's correct. And let me pin that comment. But that's the promo code, right? So the promo code is Brothers of Gaia, all caps. And you can go through my link tree, scroll down, you'll see Amanita products. You go through that link, and basically you'll go through the entire site. And they're constantly cycling their product lineup. I actually missed the Cappy tincture. I actually wanted to go grab more. But I already have what I need at the present moment. But I wanted to go grab more. But that went really, really fast. And I believe I've seen Hawaiian wood rose seeds on there as well. That has the LSA in it. If anybody wants to experiment with those. I always had a hard time in my youth finding really authentic Hawaiian wood rose seeds. When I did try it, I was incredibly fucking nauseous, and I didn't trip at all. And I had to down like basically a gallon of water that was supposed to be infused with LSA, and it was horrible. So getting authentic Hawaiian wood rose seeds, that's rare. So do they have chacruna leaves? No, I don't believe they do, but if you go over and you actually email them or inquire on their Instagram page, they're more inclined to go grab it. So you said a lemon tech with the psilocybin mushrooms? I've done plenty of lemon techs. I've macrodosed enough in my life for probably like 10 or 15 people, honestly. So I've kind of had enough of the macrodose, the psychedelic insights, the mind fuck of it all. The Hawaiian baby wood rose seeds. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. So yeah, if I ever go back to actually try it, because I made every effort when I was 16 years old to try it. And work. So, and there's a lot of concern also with like whether or not the seeds had chemicals or not. So that's why it's a big thing to get it from good sources like Minnesota Nice Botanicals, because he's very Christian. He knows what he's doing when he's giving us very clean product. So, but yep. So yeah, definitely if you you're not looking to trip, but you're looking for a good experience that makes you a better person, makes you realize a lot of your your emotions that you're holding back, and you want your vivid dreams and good sleep without taking cannabis, without taking really anything else, Amanita is the way. 100%. So, if anybody has any other questions, I'll give it like 1 minute here, because it doesn't seem like Jesus is gonna hop on here. We might have to do another one. We might have to do another one just for his macrodose, so y'all can understand the dynamics between the macrodose versus the microdose. because at least for me, this was, and what I've researched, this is the most typical microdose experience, is releasing dormant emotions, feeling like you no longer have blockages within your own psyche to initiate things that you want to do, any ideas, any passions or pursuits, no longer held back, just like your emotions. So it's great for keeping you off weed. So basically, it is good for keeping you off weed. At the end of the day, you still have to have the commitment on your side that you actually want to be off of it to begin with. Because I noticed I still had cravings up until the third or fourth day. And then after that, it just kind of faded into the background. More so because I realized, I just want my levels of joy back to where they were to begin with. I wanted my dopamine and my serotonin levels back to where they were before I ingested any MDMA or research chemicals in my youth. And I also wanted to be free from addictions. And then once you get away from the addiction to weed, it's not like you can't revisit it. It's just a lot of people abuse it recreationally, when really it's a plant that makes you incredibly psychic and telepathic, and is to be respected, and gives you a lot of the messages and lessons that you ask it for, so long as you respect it. So it's something to be taken sacramentally. It's something to be taken, some people would say once a week, twice a week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. It's not something to be doing on a daily. If you have a medical condition, a lot of what Amanita does, it helps with those medical conditions. So you may find that instead of being technically addicted to weed based off your brain chemicals, but your needs for your own body, you're not trying to use it in that way. You may find that Amanita helps you. People take it for pain, like chronic pain, and it helps a lot. And I believe that's because it's GABAergic, so it dampens all the signals, all those nerve signals that your body's sending you for you to feel pain. I feel as though it dampens them. And not only that, but mushrooms themselves typically help with nerves. So they help you with neurogenesis to create and facilitate the health of your neurons, so that they help you feel more. Yeah, a lot of people are on weed. That's the part of the glory of recreational legalization. It's recreational legalization, and then the hybridization that increasingly keeps heightening the THC while lowering the other cannabinoids that were actually truly beneficial for us, and didn't make it so crazy psychoactive. And that's obviously, if you talk to the older generations about what weed was, it was a lot more peaceful. It wasn't so heady. It wasn't so, just mind-boggling and disorienting, and stuff like that. When you heighten it so much and you don't have that moderation, you fuck up your hormones, fuck up your brain chemicals. Yeah, exactly. Because the THC is so high that it induces a psychedelic experience. But it's really not supposed to be like that. And what people have to do typically, if they do take very, very high THC weed that's incredibly potent, is they have to accompany it with CBD, which lessens the psychoactivity. Full spectrum cannabinoids, basically. All the cannabinoids that should have been in that plant when you were ingesting it, you now have to replace in order for it to not fuck you up. like hormonally up here, like all around. Like high THC weed is not the way. It is fun, right? It's fun for some people, whose brain chemicals can take it, but it's not the way. So. Yep, exactly. Organic, homegrown, that's the way. Because also organic, homegrown, you can breed it to actually create more CBD, CBN, CBG, that whole brunt of lists of cannabinoids and all that. Delta 8's shit, DHC shit. All I'm telling you, because the only reason I'm telling you that is because all of that stuff is only designed to get you high. And at the end of the day, cannabis was not designed just to get you high. That's why we have Rick Simpson oil. Like that hemp-based Rick Simpson oil from 50 Shades of Consciousness. I was also taking that while I was also doing the Amanita protocol. And that also helped with cravings as well. And then you also find that it was more medicinal. You go on his page and you realize, wow, well, this is what it's actually supposed to be. Things like THC, they're good for people who have cancer, and they're good for people who need the munchies, right? They have the munchies, they need to eat. So it's good for people who are reprogramming themselves from anorexia or bulimia, have some type of eating disorder, or are taking things that actually lower appetite, or naturally they don't have an appetite. And yeah, a lot of that, the synthetic THC, all that stuff it's a no-go. And also, if you try to get an Amanita extract from a smoke shop, I'm betting you 95% of the time it doesn't have any muscimol in it, because what they're putting in here is psilocin, basically 4-HOMET, which is basically the synthetic analog of psilocybin. So you're taking it and people are thinking like, oh, this is Amanita, it's supposed to make me trip, because I see it on these psychedelic mushroom posters, I've seen it in the Mario game. And the reality is that the psychedelic culture has perverted it in a way, because we haven't made it clear, or hadn't made it clear before, that this isn't a mushroom that you end up really tripping on. Not traditionally, not all colors and all these sparkly things going on, and your eyes are being dilated, and you just like gawking at it like that's just reality. Reality is that they have us all duped, thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go get high on this thing. It's like, no, we're looking for medicinal value. We're looking for things that make us better people, and just getting high doesn't make you a better person. So the Delta 8, the HHC, all those synthetic analogs that are built to get you high, they're not really for your benefit much at all. I understand like wanting to have an experience, but at the end of the day, you can get so much more from homegrown weed. You get so much more from taking in concentrates that are balanced, that have a fair amount of CBD, CBN, CBG, all those other cannabinoids in comparison to THC. And I'm not saying, it's your choice. It's your choice at the end of the day to ingest the THC, right? The high THC. But at some point, it's going to bother you. It's going to do something to your system, and then you're going to feel like, well, I need to get out of this loop of being addicted. Or having anxiety, whichever one. Because that's what happens when you take that high THC, is either you're going to get anxiety while you're on it, or you're going to get anxiety while you're off of it. Because the need to redose that THC is incredible. It's incredibly addictive. I have eaten raw weed, and just like it has a lot of acids in it that are actually really good for you. So yeah, I have eaten raw weed. And that's also the hemp flower, Rick Simpson oil that 50 Shades of Consciousness has. If you're having any type of issues with addiction with weed, then that is the way to go. And also pairing it with the Amanita, like, you may as well just say goodbye to the cannabis as a daily thing. And you also can't be on cannabis while you're taking this. So that's also another thing, is that's the choice of basically you really committing to getting away from addiction, is because a lot of people find that Amanita doesn't do anything for them while taking it because they are ingesting THC because they have cannabis in their system. And I can even attest that maybe I didn't give enough time between me taking a break from weed and starting to take this, and that may have diminished the effects and also the benefits that I could have received. But I won't know until I do this protocol again, because what they recommend is that you do this either once a year or twice a year, that 3-week protocol. Amanita Dreamer has it so that you basically end up taking it several times in a month, right? And then after that month, basically you're taking it like half of that in the next month, and then by that time you're probably just taking it like once a month, or as needed, whichever one. Is having a good amount of mucus good to combat and catch BS they say stay in the air? I mean, your body's gonna naturally create that mucus, and I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but if you have mast cell activation, that's actually a condition that we develop because of how many toxins we're exposed to every day. So I realized I had mast cell activation after I have something that's processed of any sort. I get a shit ton of mucus developing from it. Other people don't experience that, and I had no idea that was the condition mast cell activation. But my beloved actually told me that's mast cell activation, that curdling and creating a ton of mucus because you ate in something that's unclean. That's your body almost like overreacting so that you create like a ton of mucus to actually get it out of your body. And yeah, brother, RSO is incredible. It heals so many people. Helps with sleep, helps with pain, just like Amanita. Like a lot of the conditions that Amanita helps with, also the RSO also helps with. So they're good to pair together. The only thing with the Amanita is you can't intake THC, so you'd want the hemp-based RSO. Quit over a month ago, and then you puffed a Delta 8 vape and it made you depressed. So here's the thing also about the stuff in the smoke shops. Remember when I was saying that the Amanita extracts are actually synthetic psilocybin analogs? Sometimes they're not even synthetic psilocybin analogs. Sometimes they're some other crazy fucking research chemicals, because research chemicals aren't illegal. Because we have to go through a process of scheduling shit into a category before it can become illegal. So another thing about these smoke shops is you go in and you're like, oh, I'm going to get some Delta 8. And it's actually just a shit ton of chemicals, maybe with a little bit of Delta 8. So now you feel like shit because you just took a bunch of chemicals and heavy metals straight to your brain, because that's what happens when you take in those vapors, is it goes straight into your bloodstream, goes into your brain. Like, it's literally, the pathway is like right up here. So you got to be careful with where you're sourcing things from. Can you use it separately since you don't have the Amanita? Yeah, 100%. And do I eat meat? Yes, I eat meat. Yeah, I went through my vegan crisis. If you're interested in learning about that, I have a post basically showing how frail and skinny I was. I was 100 pounds. Basically, my gums were breaking down, my teeth were becoming more translucent by the day, and I was getting a lot of joint pain. So then when I moved to Pennsylvania, I had sources, like really good, clean sources for meat, for raw dairy. And also, during that journey, I also discovered that raw dairy, anything fermented, has ormus in it. So with that being in my mind and knowing how powerful ormus is, I'm like, well, if this has ormus in it, why am I not ingesting it? Why am I letting a label dictate where I'm getting my food from? If it has ormus in it, I'm going to ingest it. The only time that's not excusable is when you're eating your fellow man. So unless we got any cannibals here. Unless we got some cannibals here. That rule of ingesting anything that has ormus in it, that's been working wonderfully for me. So, and we could do a whole separate live on that, because that was a whole rabbit hole for myself. But DC Martinez, I feel you. Thank you for tapping in, bro. Yeah. But yeah, if y'all have any more questions, you can always DM me. You basically have 1 more minute, because yeah, I've been waiting for juices for a little bit. What's your thoughts on breatherianism? All right, so basically zero food intake, which Devon has showed us is very much possible. Devon the Black Airbender. If you don't follow him already, you're being ridiculous. You don't make any sense. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, go follow the brother, because he's definitely given us a prime example of what breatherianism can actually do for you. There's a few breatharians that I actually follow. But what I found is that they focus a lot on taking in those subtle energies around us. And that can be shown through Tai Chi. There's actually something crazy Modern Mind Explorer actually explained to me, which is basically that Tai Chi was actually invented through basically a channeling or a beaming down, a broadcast from higher beings, is what I assume, not just like the natural, like day-to-day, like, oh, we're getting broadcasted, we're having natural telepathy. Like, I'm pretty sure this is 100% broadcasted, because the people in China were basically, they started doing Tai Chi. They woke up and they started doing Tai Chi. I'm not saying like they woke up and they planned that shit. Like, they woke up and they were Tai Chi. Like, all they could do was these movements that were gathering and cultivating energy and cultivating superhuman abilities, and pure synced up, completely synced up. And that's all they could do. They couldn't eat, they couldn't drink, they couldn't think, they couldn't talk. All they could do was Tai Chi. And I only noticed because Ron, Modern Mind Explorer, the Silogit plug, told me that he got on a call with some Tai Chi master who just started seeing Americans. And if you missed the live, I'm posting it, so you can just rewatch it. You can send it to your friends, you send it to your family, all that. But basically, what I'm getting at is that they didn't have to eat, they didn't have to drink, they didn't have to do anything. And it's insane. But people ended up, killing themselves, because that's all their life was doing Tai Chi for uplifting the consciousness of the collective. So it's possible, because they've shown it's possible, right? Just through that dynamic of what the fuck happened. But you have to be in the right environment. You have to be doing those techniques and practices. But that example just goes to show humanity that, we're not always going to be eating physical foods. unless we want to, unless we have like that desire of wanting to experience the sensation of it, but not having a need for it, because all our energy is coming from the subtle energies of the universe, which are quite infinite. So right there, that's your big confirmation of, yes, Breatherianism exists. These people aren't frauds. These people aren't scamming you into thinking something that isn't real. It's just real, 100% real. It's just that you need the right environment. You need the right environment. You need to not rush it. And you need to take your time. You need to move through those traumas and those processes that make you very dense. And addiction's one of them, right? Childhood trauma's one of them. And just having that biology of belief, that is also at play. So you can very much become a Breatherian, but right environment, right? We need to get enough sunlight. That's the huge subtle energy generator that we can absorb. We have to be intaking, structure. Our bodies cannot be disoriented and disorganized from outside forces. So what we have to do is we have to reinforce that structure inside of our bodies through frequencies. That's why the frequencies are so important, because it basically creates a wall. You're thinking like the Great Wall of China for your body. So that's the thing about Breatherianism, is you can't be out here, right, in 5G fucking dense as fuck Wonderland, thinking that, okay, I'm just gonna stop eating. I'm just going to stop drinking. And if I just do enough breath work and Tai Chi, I'm going to be good. It's like, no, your environment has to match up. Like, Devon went over to Japan, right? Japan's less dense. Where he's at, it's significantly less dense than Miami. So it's just increasing that ability for him to prosper in the states that he wants to be in, which is mostly liquid or mostly air, right? And air being that etheric energy that we can all intake anyways. And yeah, exactly. You would basically have to sacrifice remaining in the matrix in order to be a Breatherian. You can't work a 9 to 5. You can't be driving on these highways with these motherfuckers yelling at you, screaming at you, fucking like, you can't be doing that, because that disturbs your structure, that disturbs your peace, and that disturbs the container for Ormus to accumulate. The principles of Ormus is you need a resonant frequency for your body. You need structure, right? So you need that structure to be held, right, for the Ormus to accumulate within the molecule. And then that molecule then gets distributed to you. And yeah, we live in poison country. At the end of the day, the United States is a corporation. It has, you know why foreign policy is so big with us is because we're literally in every single country. In every single country, if you look into it long enough, where is all this fluorosilicic acid coming from that they're dumping in the fucking waterways? Where is all this nuclear waste coming from? Where is all the plastic going? We are a waste ground. This entire country is a waste ground. The drugs that they make for us contain heavy metals. Where do they get the heavy metals? It's bullshit chemicals that they turn into pharmaceuticals to feed us. What are they spraying in the air? Some shit that some country gave us a contract for to spray on us because they didn't want to deal with fucking dumping that shit or figuring out how to transmute it and alchemize it into something else. That's where we live. Majority of us. If you're in the United States. So, you trying to be a Breatherian out here in the United States corporation where they're literally poison at everyone's door? You're a fool. Do not be a fool. What you want to do is you want to leave. You want to leave this country. You want to go somewhere where there's enough geometry, enough scalar wave energy to intake for your body to be able to continuously prosper. you want to remain in America, you have to deal with the defenses of being poisoned. You have to raise up those defenses. You have to be on every level, psychic, energetic, everything you're intaking reinforces your defenses, because they just continuously keep getting fucking worse. And that's why you need Amanita. Because the Amanita takes away those addictions that make you so fucking dense. And by doing that, it gives you more energy, etherically, astrally, like in all rounds. So utilizing these plant medicines, that's why even a Tai Chi master, right, that Ron contacted and started seeing Americans, right? The reason why he's seeing Americans is because he realized it fucking sucks over here. Yeah, y'all. So if you live closer to the equator, you get more sun energy, you get more of those nutrients. A lot of people downplay, like, okay, I'm gonna go get a bunch of fruit from the store. The fruit from the store has lost about 70% of its nutrients, maybe 80% of its nutrients. You should have been picking it off of a tree or a bush. And the soil, they got her fucked up with the soil, right? So at the end of the day, you're not going to get those nutrients if you're going to grow your shit here. Unless what you're doing is you're utilizing electroculture, magnetoculture, or monatomic minerals from several sources, maybe alchemically, from seaweed, harvested from ley line cluster of some sort, volcanic sand, something. You have to restore all of this stuff in order to get the prime nutrition that you're actually seeking. You're not going to get it at the grocery store. You might not even get it from your local farmer, because they might not even know all this. And yes, they're even going to get to a point where they're going to start feeding us fucking bullshit lab meat, sneaking it in every fucking thing that they can possibly think of. They already have human sewage being utilized for fucking soil, right? This is bio waste, big old bio waste. So this is America. This is the United States corporation. It's a bunch of bullshit. But we gotta deal with it. We gotta transmute it. And at the end of the day, all these plant medicines, they're here to help us, right? The mushrooms are here to help us broadcast and give us those intuitive, innovative ideas that can bring us out of this fucking crazy shithole that they've created. Because it's fucking ridiculous. So we need religious clinics, biohacking clinics. Like, we have the tools, we have the technology, we have the information to rehabilitate where we're living. We just have to put stuff into action, collaborate. You already know. This here, Sir John Michael Christ of Her, is the partial decarb Amanita extract. It loads you up with ibotenic acid to rehabilitate that dopamine, serotonin levels inside your brain. So in case you ever fucked up and took some motherfucking meth, MDMA, cannabis, narcotic, crazy shit, or you just stuck on social media, being addicted, scrolling rails, it'll reset you so you're not doing that dumb shit. Because god damn it, that's dense. Alright, so the microgreens. If you're not educated on the microgreens, basically what happens is during the process of germination, it actually creates ormus. That's what a lot of plants are actually fueled by during germination, when the seeds start sprouting those little leaves. If you break open the content of the seed and you analyze it, get a whole data analysis, get a test for it, you will find that those seeds don't have all of the nutrients that the sprout has. When you analyze the sprout, it's completely different. So how did that even happen? Basically, ormus. Biological transmutation happened at the germination of that seed. The germination of that seed created basically a flash, just like that zinc flash that happens when during fertilization. You can actually look that up on YouTube, is the zinc flash associated with fertilization. And that flash creates an environment for ormus to accumulate. Now, Ormus basically transports into the germination of the seed right at that moment and fuels basically the growth of it, the growth of the sprout, by basically breaking down. So Ormus, right, is these collection of other minerals, right, that typically have higher atomic or proton counts. So what happens is, what it does is it distributes itself in order based off of the need of the organism that it's occupying. So based off of the need of the organism it's occupying, basically it's getting all essential nutrients that it needs. So it is, you could say it's magic, right? But I just call it quantum physics. We're basically just quantum interdimensional tunneling machines that are fully interconnected to our environments, to our nutrients, and all around. And we have that ability, the absolute most, when we have a lot of photons on us. And our biophoton count is determined by our emotional state, our cultivation of chi energy, living around things that supply us with chi energy or photons that turn into biophotons, sorry. And transmuting traumas, because those traumas are energetic blockages that darken your energy channels within your own body. So that's all I got for y'all today. Unless somebody asks like another crazy ass question and I start going off. But how do you take that? So this is the partial decarb. So basically I took this for 3 weeks every morning. And basically what you do is you take the cap off, right? If you should get the 5 grams, because this will last you the entire 3-week protocol pretty much. And just take the cap off and pour it into this cap. You want to fill it about halfway, and then after that take it under your tongue and just let it sit. It's going to taste very interesting, very shroomy. And then after that you're good to go. You eat something in the evening or as needed of these gummies. Basically you can get the Pamphorina gummies and the chocolates from Minnesota Nice Botanicals. And you can also get, oh snap, 1 sec. Alright, man. So basically this is the full decarb, right? And the full decarb has nothing but muscimol in it. But what I recommend if you're on a budget is just go ahead and get the partial decarb extract for the morning. And then you want to get the Pamphorina, because the Amanita Pamphorina is 5 times stronger than the Muscaria. And on top of that, it's going to be cheaper because it's 5 times stronger. The chocolate bar that you'll get or the gummies that you get will actually last much longer. You have to take less of it. So, and I recommend taking, this is 500 milligrams, so you take 500 milligrams every morning for 3 weeks. And then after that you get the gummies, and you can actually take, you want to take around 500 milligrams to about 1 gram. So if you have 750 milligram gummies or 300, well, let's start with 750. If you're taking 750 milligram gummies, they're 5 times stronger. You want to take at least 200 milligrams. So you'd split that into third or a fourth, right? You have 350 milligram gummies. You can basically split that in half. Hey, Ron. I told him about the Tai Chi shit. I told them and they were like, damn, that's crazy. I had to let them know. And they want us to do a live on it, so you have to let me know when you're free. Because that Tai Chi master and the infinite potential to be a superhuman broadcasted onto you, that's fucking insane. So they want to know what's good. So like break a piece off of the chocolate and cut it into 5 pieces. Yeah, basically. So yeah, you want to get the Pamphorina chocolates or the gummies, and then you pretty much be good to go, taking that morning or night. Ron, you been taking that Amanita? Some of y'all didn't tell me that you ordered. So I'm just sitting over here like, it's basically like mushrooms popping out of the ground. Like, I go inside my house, I go to sleep, I'll wake up, oh, there's one there. There's one there. Oh, there's one there. I go to sleep, I wake back up, oh, there's one there. There's one there. There's one there. I had no idea. We were all on this same mushroom wavelength. Crazy. So yeah, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of plant medicine and interdimensional space traveling mushrooms. So if you enjoyed this live, please share it. For all the glory of all of us, for the upliftment of all of us, and for just the general spreading of beautiful information that's very life-changing. So love y'all. If you have any more questions, make sure to hit your DM. Hit my DM, not your DM. I don't even think you can hit your own DM. If you're dealing with grief and shame from the loss of a parent. So what I found, if you go on Amanita Dreamer's YouTube page, actually, she talks about actually getting out of... One sec, sorry. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, mycelium network's an interdimensional portal, bro. So if you go on Amanita Dreamer's page, she actually has a YouTube basically telling everybody basically about how she's been transmuting a lot of grief from divorce. Basically, she was in a 16-year marriage, and upon going through all that, she was also addicted to benzodiazepines, as well as a line of different other pharmaceuticals as well, like the antidepressants. So that's her story, right? She's dealing with 16 years worth of grief. If you're not aware, if you've never had any type of long-term partnership, when you lose somebody that has existed in your life for 16 years, good or bad, when they're gone, you feel like they're dead. So your brain registers this as if they're dead, right? So you go through the same amount of grief that you would, basically, if the person were dead. But even worse, if the person is alive and you keep getting reminders that they're alive, then basically what ends up happening in your brain is you keep getting reminders that you wouldn't if somebody was dead. So you keep reliving the grief and the despair, and it puts you in a long loop of basically having to figure out and process those emotions. So, what she describes is that Amanita took her out of that hole, that loop. It took her out of taking benzodiazepines, antidepressants, and it helps her. I'm pretty sure she's almost completely healed, just moving on to the next stage and phase of her life, away from that 16-year marriage, away from identifying so closely their identity, your identity, right, with a partner that ends up merging with you. So that is basically a great example, an amazing example, really, of how Amanita helps you transmute trauma. It helps you transmute grief, and it helps you remember when I said when I was crying like a baby before I could fall asleep, because that's what the Amanita told me to do. Is it said you have to release these suppressed emotions in your body. You have to release these suppressed emotions in your body in order for you to be able to get restful sleep. If you don't do that, then you won't be able to sleep. So, right, that's basically what Amanita does, is it brings up those emotions for you to face. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's very difficult. But what you'll notice while you're on it is that it takes you out of out of here, right, the first person, and it puts you in the background. It throws you in the back seat of your own experience, so that it's way easier for you to transmute and process those emotions. So by throwing you in the back seat, you're out of the way. So long as you just don't resist and just let it flow, it honestly just perpetuates itself until it's gone. And then after that, you feel 10 times lighter. So it'll definitely help with grief, brother. There's a very deep spirit. It has a long lineage. I can't say if my own lineage, from the Olmekians, actually was associated with it, but I know people who are of European descent, they have a lot of genetic DNA activations and codes that come through the utilization of this mushroom. So that is another beautiful thing. Yeah, absolutely, brother. So once again, it's a 33% off sale. I'm running it until next week, and that will be the great determiner on whether or not I'm going to Tucson to go get the inventory for the monsoon sucker punches. Right now, we only have the mini punch in stock, and though the mini punch is a 2-mile radius, I'm very much sure that some of you would want stronger crystals, larger crystals, to actually have in your pockets, or in your bag, or at home, or in your car, anywhere you go. So if you want to hop in and support this great endeavor, you can go to brothersofgaia.com, and the promo code is ORMUS33. If you want this 33% off, you could go right now if you really wanted to. You could go later. Just know the sale's only running for another week. And I'm announcing it today. I actually just announced it just now, but I'm announcing it today through like a flyer or something, or like a post. So, and I have been getting shadow banned, censored, just like the rest of us who share really beautiful information. So yeah, if any of y'all could repost, help out with any type of exposure awareness, that would be wonderful. Oh, that's fire, yeah. Yeah, that triple stack, that thing's like a 10-mile radius. It's crazy. And using it for healing sessions, like, blows everything out completely. Like, all blockages. It's insane, yeah. So, alright, fam. I don't see juices, but maybe we'll see him later. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for all your love. Thank you for all your support. And yeah, just hit me up, brother, if you need help connecting it. Yeah, I can walk you through it. You just want to make sure those positives and negatives are all in the right place. So otherwise, you're just powering like half of it. You're maybe like a third of it, honestly, which wouldn't be any good. So, but yeah, peace, family. Till next time.